Guntley says, could you law explain the implications of P starring on graves, then bragging about it on Twitter? Need a non-practicing attorney's opinion. Hashtag YWNBAPL. You will not black at people live. I don't know what that means. What is P with 2 stars? Wouldn't it be 3 stars? Like pissing or pooping? I'm not sure. But, peeing? Maybe it's peeing. I forgot about peeing. The implications of peeing on graves and bragging about it on Twitter? Wait, who bragged about peeing on a grave on Twitter? I'm not aware of anybody even suggesting that they peed on a grave. I don't know that there would be a specific statute covering peeing on a grave. Maybe it would be desecration of a gravestone, but I think desecration of a gravestone typically involves... We could look that up. We'll look it up. We know it's in Alabama. No, Arkansas. It's in Arkansas, right? So it's in the graves in Arkansas. So we can look up the desecration of a corpse statute. I don't recall bodily fluids on a grave being included in desecration, but we can check there. People really misunderstand like stalking, harassment, and all of these little things that keep getting thrown around because they're like doing this complex thing. They make out like it's doing this act of searching for and finding something and going to it amounts to stalking because I wouldn't do it. That's not stalking. Stalking typically involves a very involved process, and this is applicable to the sniper wolf situation and everything else, and it's really, really fact specific. But one thing to remember with all crime, damn near fucking every crime that exists, is there is an intent requirement. You don't necessarily have to intend to do something illegal, but you have to intend to do the thing that is illegal, if that makes sense, right? Like, this is a great example. If I intend to possess a bag full of cocaine, and so I go to someone and I buy a bag full of cocaine, and they give me baking soda, and I'm like, yeah, cocaine, baby. And I'm walking down the street, waving my bag, like powder flying everywhere. And a cop arrests me. He's like, what's this? I'm like, cocaine, bitch. I just bought it from a drug dealer. And then they test it and they're like, baking soda. You still intended to possess the illegal thing. You thought, but were mistaken about what you possessed. But you had the intent to do the illegal act. That's like the criminal aspect of it. It's weird how it works. But if you intend to possess baking soda, in the opposite, you intend to possess baking soda, and you go to the store and you buy baking soda, but they happen to get the wrong truck. They got the cartel truck of baking soda, and like that's on the fucking shelves, and you buy it, and you're like, make a cake, and you're like, whoa, this cake is awesome, right? Like, you do that, and then they're like, that's not baking soda, homie. Like, the cake was flat, but it was really good. Like, you've possessed the thing, but you had no intention to do. Like, you're not a criminal. You legitimately didn't mean to have the thing. Now, good fucking luck arguing these points, right? Like, good luck arguing that out. But that's the academic law around it, is you have to have the mens rea, the criminal mindset, the intention to do the thing. Now, the intention, where the intention ends, depends sometimes on the level of crime, right? If I intend to kill someone, I shoot him in the head. Well, that's first degree murder. I intend to cause the death of you, and I shoot you in the head and you die. There you go. If I intend to shoot in a direction and I don't know someone's over there because there's like, I don't know, a tree or a tarp or something, I can't see them. It's like, bam. Well, now you don't have first degree murder because you didn't intend to kill the person. You just intended to shoot in a direction. And now someone has taken a bullet in the head and died. Now you have a manslaughter or reckless homicide type charge because you've done something that was intentional. It's a criminal act because someone is injured. Your intention wasn't to cause the injury. But you always have to have that criminal intent. We do not criminalize accidents. We do not criminalize behavior that occurs that results in injury. That's what the civil system is for. So, with the whole like stalking thing, the intent is not, I looked up something and went there because I don't know if you guys know this, but looking up an address, residential, business, commercial, industrial, otherwise, and going to the address is not inherently unlawful or wrong. In fact, you probably do it all the fucking time. And I know some of it's businesses, but guess what? Some people work there. Or I know it might be like, maybe it's an apartment complex. Well, some people live there. Like, you do this constantly. It's innocuous behavior. The intention behind it, what is the intent? Is it the intention for stalking tends to be a pattern of behavior that is intended to reasonably cause fear or apprehension in the victim. You have to understand what is happening in these types of crimes. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in specific with the pissing on graves or peeing on graves. I'm bragging about it on Twitter, but I'm not aware of anybody doing that. I know there's a theory that some retard came up with because they saw two different photos of the grave, and one had what appeared to be some moisture on it, and said retard was like, that means he pissed on. Okay, I guess that's the idea, but that's not like a real thing. That's a retarded person being retarded for the purposes of being retarded. All right, real quick, let's do this. This is a question on YouTube that was about grave desecration and peeing on it. Let's just go ahead and look at the Arkansas Code for Desecration. I think people misunderstand all of these crimes. Desecration means the intentional, willful, or knowing removal or disturbance of human skeletal burial remains or burial furniture, which was placed with a buried human body, or treating such human skeletal burial remains in an irreverent and contemptuous manner. And human skeletal burial remains means the calcified portion of the human body which remains after the flesh is decomposed. So the question was, what are your thoughts on peeing on a grave? Peeing on a grave or a gravestone probably does not fit the bill of desecration. Desecration of a gravestone is the removal of damage of a gravestone, right? Or human remains, burial furniture, gravestone, casket, those things. All of that is peeing on the grass of a grave. It's disrespectful. Obviously, don't do it. But I'm not aware of anybody doing that. I'm only aware of a stupid theory about it. But if I have not seen the brag about someone saying they did it, send it, I guess. Don't do that. Like, it's very gay to do that. Very silly. And I don't know. I was talking to a friend about this because I don't know if you guys saw, but Moronic Opinions, the guy who took the picture of the Casey Jones mask saying peace, little stuffed animals in front of Ice on Knox's grave. I said, don't bring this shit to reality. Like, don't bring it to real life. Like, it's not a crime, but just don't do it. Because, like, in the context, it's disrespectful, right? Like, we kind of get that. But I was having a debate with someone who's very smart and I like very much. And I entertained the notion that, it's only disrespectful because we assume it's disrespectful. And I'm talking about the picture. I'm not talking about pissing, right? I'm talking about the picture. The picture is only disrespectful insofar as we assume the perpetrator of the picture is doing it with disrespect. An interesting thing happened. I didn't say that publicly, just in my private conversation, but an interesting thing happened. Moronic Opinions posted something that I saw today. I don't know when he posted it, probably today, but maybe yesterday. And he had said he actually hadn't even considered respect at all in it. He didn't intentionally be disrespectful, but he went on a live stream. He was interviewed about the subject, and the person convinced him that it was actually a disrespectful act. And he said he actually felt bad about it afterwards, and he offered to write an apology to Eric July and his family because he didn't actually intend to disrespect anything. He's just like, oh, this will be a funny thing. And so I'm talking to I'm talking to a different friend today, and I was like talking to them about it, and they're like, well, it really depends on the culture, right? Like if someone was raised where remains or burial sites are highly respected, that's one thing. But if they're not, and I was thinking of it from my own perspective, and I'm like, for me, people are like, what if they did this to your relative? I'm like, well, it would be shitty if someone did this to like my grandparent who I grew up with. Like that would matter to me. But for my great, 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 great grandfather, it wouldn't matter. I don't even know their name. I don't know where they're buried. I think they're somewhere in Poland, probably. I don't know who they are. If they found them and took a selfie, they're like, ha ha, Ricada, here's your ancestor. I'd be like, cool. I mean, with disrespect, I don't care. I don't know that motherfucker. Like to me, it doesn't matter. But to Eric, to be fair, Eric says he has a lot of respect for Isom Knox and Avery. Was it Avery Knox? I don't remember all of the names, but like he has respect for them. He knows their story. I'll take him at his word. To me, someone who's born in 1850, I don't give a fuck what you do to their grave. I'm not asking for people to do anything, but I don't give a fuck what you do because I don't even know their name. He clearly knew his name, and maybe his family like venerates this person and there's stories about him. I don't know. He sounds like a cool dude, right? He fought in the Civil War, I think he said, in like one of the colored units or whatever. Interesting backstory. Lived a long time. Cool. So for him, might be someone that matters. I don't know. I don't know what moronic opinions tradition about burials were. Like some people really like venerate that. I don't venerate the dead or their remains. It's weird. I think I'm kind of unique in my family on that. I have missed a lot of funerals, and the only thing that I have missed about funerals, to me, or the only regrets I have about missing funerals to me, is how other people in my family have taken those misses. But I have never once considered the remains of my relatives' opinion on missing their funeral. I go with the old Bible verse, right? Like, let the dead bury their own dead. They're not in there, dude. To me, they're not in there. That's meat now that will rot. I don't care what happens to it. Again, not inviting anything. Like, you can obviously do things intentionally disrespectfully, and I would hate that for other people in my family. That would be like, it won't hurt me. It would hurt other people in my family, and I would hate that. So, I would hope people don't do that. And I don't want people to do that to Eric. But there's a different perspective. And it's weird to take a moment and go, well, was it actually disrespectful? I mean, I think yes, to be clear. I think it's disrespectful. And the fact that this guy didn't intend to disrespect Eric or his family or the corpse or whatever, like, bro, read the room. But we can't just assume automatically that everybody believes the same thing about everybody, because they don't. And so there's some leeway there, right? For everybody to just kind of like chill the fuck out. But the comedies in the reaction, or more appropriately, the overreaction, that's the real juice of everything. That's what people are really laughing at. But that being said, people are like, is this desecration? No, it's not desecration. Peeing on the grave would be a really shit thing to do. Not desecration. Is it another crime? Public urination? Sure. The question is now, what action amounts to stalking? Because this is a real thing. Stalking, everybody misunderstands stalking. I talked about it a little bit on the YouTube show. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But stalking is an intentional pattern of behavior that is intended to cause fear, apprehension in a person. Can peeing on a grave amount to stalking? Yes. Merely because someone looked up the address or the grave site and went there? No. It all depends on the intention, the intended delivery, the intended recipient, all of that stuff. I don't think there's an argument that peeing on a grave is not like a good argument. That it's not disrespectful. Obviously, that is disrespectful. I wouldn't pee on the grave of someone I don't know. or no. Unless maybe they were, look, maybe it was a certain type of actress and she was into certain types of showers. I don't know. So maybe you go and honor her that way. That's on you. But me, I wouldn't do it at all. I think it's inherently disrespectful. But that being said, it's not desecration of a corpse or a gravesite.